Well, Tim, you look over my shoulder, you can see it's pitch black, and it ain't sundown, brother. I don't know what's going on. We got a storm coming.
Scary something over there. Over my shoulder, we got Chris Cornell. I'll bring that up in a second.
Is that who that was? I thought it was like a young Carlos Santana or something. I couldn't make that out.
He's a good-looking dude, he was an incredible songwriter. But we got a couple things to do. First, by the way, I'm hearing through the Twitter first that there's a lot of people think you look like Sebastian Maniscalco. And that, in fact, you guys have never been seen in the same place at the same time.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure Seb, can I call him Seb? I'm sure he's fantastic. I have no idea who Sebastian Maricino is. Could you fill me in?
He's not a cherry. He's a funny comedian. Let's keep moving. Three things to do today. First of all, I want to talk Britney. She lost a court case. I mean, we've got to free Britney. How is it that this grown woman?
What happened to her? She's in court about what?
She's trying to get control of her estate. Her dad is still her guardian. I mean, I realize Britney's had some issues, but I mean, we got to free Britney. Come on.
Free Britney, 100%. We'll get that trending. By the way, and I know you know this, when she went through that dark period, everybody talks about buying the dips and selling the rips, which I can't stand that phrase, but I will tell you that, she troughed, and there were a lot of people just, trying to short that and just laying into that short. There were a lot of willing buyers down at that trough. It's got to be 8 or 9 years ago. So that was a good trade. But maybe we're selling Britney on the estate problems now. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there are other folks we could probably. That would be a great segment. Public celebrities to buy at the bottom. As we all know, in the stock market, you make the most money when things go from just really terrible to bad. And I think in Britney's case, that's where it is. Anyway, we got to free Britney.
All right, so free Britney. First, get that hashtag going. Got it.
Real quick, and maybe not quick, but we've got to talk markets. Stevie Cohen's first press conference as a Met owner was about as exciting as you can have. Met fans everywhere, and I think baseball fans everywhere. But Met fans everywhere got everything they wanted yesterday. And for a guy who makes up reasons why he hates the Mets and actually exaggerates about rather, seeing the Red Sox beat the Yankees if it gets the Mets out. I don't know. What do you think about
killed it. He crushed it. It's funny, in today's world, CEOs of publicly traded companies, they have to do a reasonable, if not an excellent job at talking to the press and talking. And some guys and gals are good at it, and some suck at it. And I thought Stevie Cohen was going to be a train wreck, just having met him a few times over the years when I used to do that for a living. But with that said, that was about the best press conference I've ever seen from somebody walking into that situation. So although obviously I'm not a Met fan, Met fans all over should be thrilled because he said everything, and he said it in a way that you wanted him to say it.
And he wasn't sensational. He was matter of fact. And in fact, he even threw a little bit of temperance on, hey, I'm not going to throw every dollar at every problem here. We'll spend some money. But it's as if he had been listening to our conversations. I love the fact that he says, we're going to behave like a big market baseball team. And, I know that's been one of your jokes. So love that. Love the fact that he says, I want to win within the next 3 to 5 years, or I'll be a little disappointed. He didn't say, I'm going to win in the next 3 to 5 years.
No.
He basically said, look, it's game on. There's no reason why we shouldn't compete now. This is New York. Let's not mess around. And I'm not going to be the guy that overpays like the Steinbrenners used to, or maybe still do. He didn't mention you guys, but I know he meant you. He also said that we're not competing with the Yankees. We're creating our own excitement over here.
Good. And, I'm glad. That's great. I'm thrilled it went well. I'm also thrilled that Sandy Alderson got on and said that Cameron Diaz, although they were happy with his performance as skipper, he's not guaranteed the slot vis-a-vis whoever they bring in as a GM.
I love what you did, because you just tied a beautiful thread into our next topic. It's not Cameron Diaz, all right? It's Edwin Diaz, who's our closer. But Cameron Crowe wrote a movie called Singles back in the early 90s. And it was 92, an iconic movie.
I believe.
92. And I bring that up because today, or last evening, but their day started ahead of ours, marked the beginning of Singles Day 2020 in China, and really for Alibaba. And it is the largest e-commerce event by far in the world. So $78 billion in sales on Singles Day versus I think somewhere around 9 on Prime. But it's all happening at a time when the Chinese internet companies are under attack, and these national champion stories like Alibaba and Tencent look like they're Russian oil companies at the peak of, you know, Putin's aggressive dismantling of the national champion. So I think there's a huge opportunity here for investors, because I actually believe what's going on in China is not a lot different, just with a different media and communication than's been going on with our tech companies. And they sold off big, but wasn't that an opportunity to buy last June when antitrust on Google and Facebook was the headline?
Yeah, we talked about that. I remember back over the summer, and Alibaba's, I think, gone from an all-time high of 321. I think as we're speaking here, it's 263 or something.
Yeah.
So you can do the math. I mean, it's almost a 18% move to the downside in probably 4 sessions. I mean, there are other things going on. There's some Jack Ma issues. I totally get it, but you're right. I mean, probably going to look back at this in early 2021 and say, man, that was a huge opportunity. And Bob, in terms of Singles, the movie, if memory serves, Bridget Fonda, I think, was in that movie.
Oh,
it
serves
correct?
you well. Serves you well. Who's Kevin Bacon's wife? She was in it too.
Sedgwick.
Kira
Sedgwick, right?
Sedgwick.
She's in that as well. Yep. That's a great poll. That's a tremendous poll.
You should take a lead on that one. Take a lead.
No, it's just, I will tell you that. So Bridget Fonda was in Godfather 3, which was a miserable movie. She had a bit part as a reporter trying to curry favor with Sonny's son. What's the actor that was in the Ocean's movies? I can't think of his name. I'm sure Tom can get in my ear now and tell me.
Andy Garcia.
You know, Andy Garcia.
How's that for a poll? That's pretty good.
She was also in Single White Female, which is a very dark, very 80s movie, but I think that's a solid flick as well. And then she fell off the face of the earth.
Well, Bridget Fonda is, I mean, think about those acting bloodlines. She was great in the movie. She was kind of an up and comer at the time. And I think what you're saying is she never really got to the heights that we expected her to. She may still, but that movie was fantastic. And anyone that knows rock and roll knows that may be the best soundtrack of all times, especially when you consider what came out in that soundtrack concurrent to what was going on in Seattle. And the fact that you had Pearl Jam and a Chris Cornell making cameos in that movie is really, I think, part of why that not only holds up today. I mean, that the soundtrack had Pearl Jam, had Soundgarden, had the Screaming Trees, who I know you're a big fan of.
Love the Tree.
I think a little Mother Love Bone. I don't know what they named their group after. And then your girls, Ann and Nancy Wilson, under a different name. I can't remember what they called
because
themselves.
She
covering
is
Zeppelin.
Married to Cameron Crowe, and she, as we've said, there you go. Yeah. I mean, look at tying a ribbon on this whole thing.
Well, we're tying a ribbon because Singles Day is one of the biggest global events for e-commerce at a time when that's really been one of the stories of COVID-19. But the fact that Cameron Crowe, we talk Fast Times all the time, and one of these days we'll talk Almost Famous. I mean, this, to me, I'm certainly a huge fan, and what they did with that movie, sadly, Chris Cornell is no longer with us, and one of the extraordinary talents in rock and roll history.
We got to listen. We got to get out of here, because if we don't, Lukey's going to kill us. I love Chris Cornell. I love Carlos Santana. The whole thing. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Guy, I've got a dyslexic heart for you, and for Paul Westerberg and Singles. I'll see you tomorrow.